an empire so vast that it surrounded the Mediterranean, built roads that still exist, constructed engineering marvels, and ruled millions of people for centuries. Yet, despite all its power, it eventually fell. How did a small city on the banks of the Tiber River become the greatest empire the ancient world had ever known? How did Roman soldiers conquer lands from Britain to the deserts of Egypt? And why did an empire that seemed impossible to defeat eventually disappear? Today, we'll explore the complete story of the Roman Empire. From humble beginnings to unmatched power. And finally, to one of history's most famous declines. But before Rome ruled an empire stretching across 3 continents, it was little more than a cluster of huts beside a river. And according to legend, its story began with 2 abandoned twins. According to Roman legend, the story of Rome began with 2 infant brothers, Romulus and Remus. Abandoned beside the Tiber River, they were said to have been rescued and nursed by a she-wolf before being raised by a shepherd. Whether true or not, this powerful story became the foundation of Rome's identity for centuries. Modern historians don't consider the story of Romulus and Remus to be literal history. Instead, they believe Rome developed gradually from small farming communities that settled on the hills overlooking the Tiber River during the early 1st millennium BCE. These small villages had no idea they were laying the foundations for one of the most influential civilizations in human history. But before Rome could become an empire, it first had to become a republic. By the late 6th century BCE, Rome had grown into a prosperous city ruled by kings. But according to Roman tradition, the final king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, known as Tarquin the Proud, became increasingly tyrannical. His rule, along with a scandal involving his family, sparked a revolt that changed Roman history forever. Rome had removed its king, but it didn't replace him with another ruler. Instead, the Romans created a revolutionary system of government that would influence nations for more than 2,000 years. Rome had driven out its last king, but removing a ruler was only the first step. The real challenge was deciding what would take his place. Instead of replacing one king with another, the Romans chose a path that was almost unheard of in the ancient world. They built a republic, a system designed to prevent any single person from holding absolute power. It wasn't a democracy, as we understand the term today, but it was a remarkable political experiment that would shape Rome's future for nearly 5 centuries. The word republic comes from the Latin phrase res publica, meaning the public affair or the people's matter. At the center of this new government stood the Senate, made up largely of experienced members from Rome's leading families. The Senate debated laws, managed finances, advised magistrates, and helped guide the Republic through times of both peace and war. While it did not pass every law directly, its influence reached almost every corner of Roman politics. Executive power was shared between 2 officials, known as consuls. Elected each year, they commanded Rome's armies, presided over important ceremonies, and carried out the decisions of the Republic. Perhaps most importantly, Each consul had the authority to block the decisions of the other. It was an early attempt to ensure that no individual could become as powerful as the kings Rome had overthrown. Roman consuls served for only 1 year. Limiting their time in office reduced the risk of any single leader accumulating too much power. Rome's leaders believed no one man should control the republic. But while power was shared at the top, not every Roman citizen shared it equally. The struggle between rich and poor was only just beginning. But Roman society was far from equal. The population was divided into two broad groups. The patricians were wealthy aristocratic families who dominated politics and held many of the highest offices. The plebeians, who made up the majority of Rome's citizens, included farmers, craftsmen, merchants, and soldiers. They could vote in public assemblies, but for many years, they struggled to gain the same political rights as the elite. These tensions occasionally brought the Republic to the brink of crisis. Plebeians demanded greater representation, fairer laws, and protection from the power of the aristocracy. This long political struggle is known today as the struggle of the orders, and lasted for nearly 2 centuries. Most ancient kingdoms might have collapsed under divisions like these. Instead, these reforms made Rome stronger, and soon, that strength would be tested on battlefields across Italy. Over time, they won important reforms, including the creation of officials known as tribunes, whose role was to defend the interests of ordinary citizens. Their job was to protect plebeians from unfair treatment. And they even had the power to block certain decisions made by other officials. Tribunes were considered so important that interfering with them could bring severe legal and religious consequences under Roman law. The Republic was far from perfect. Political influence still depended heavily on wealth, family connections, and social status. Yet, compared with many kingdoms of the ancient world, Rome's government proved remarkably stable. Leaders changed every year, institutions endured, and power was distributed among several offices rather than resting in the hands of a single ruler. While neighboring kingdoms often descended into chaos when a king died, Rome's government kept functioning. Decisions could be debated, armies could be raised, and long-term plans could continue regardless of who held office. It was this combination of discipline, political organization, and shared responsibility that allowed a small city beside the Tiber River to begin thinking far beyond its own borders. Rome's success depended not only on military victories, but also on its ability to absorb allies, build roads, and create institutions that lasted for centuries. Soon, Rome would turn its attention outward. First, it would bring the Italian peninsula under its control. Then it would encounter a rival across the Mediterranean, one powerful enough to threaten Rome's very survival. The Roman Republic had survived its internal struggles. Now, for the first time, it was ready to look beyond the city itself. Surrounded by rival tribes, powerful kingdoms, and fiercely independent city-states, Rome understood that security depended on more than strong walls. If it wanted lasting peace, it first needed to secure the Italian peninsula. That goal would take generations. Rome fought a series of long and exhausting wars against the Latins, the Etruscans, the Samnites, and the Greek cities of southern Italy. These weren't quick victories. Some campaigns dragged on for years, testing the Republic's determination and forcing its commanders to adapt with every new challenge. Unlike many ancient empires, Rome didn't always destroy the people it defeated. Instead, many communities were allowed to keep their local traditions, their own governments, and even parts of their identity, as long as they accepted Roman leadership and provided soldiers when needed. This network of alliances gradually became one of Rome's greatest strengths. Every victory added more manpower. Every new ally strengthened the Republic. Rome's alliance system allowed it to recover from devastating military losses by drawing on manpower from across Italy. A key reason it eventually defeated stronger enemies. By the early 3rd century BCE, Rome had become the dominant power throughout most of the Italian peninsula. It was an extraordinary achievement.
And Carthage.
But it also brought Rome face to face with another rising superpower. Across the waters of the Mediterranean stood Carthage. Founded by Phoenician settlers centuries earlier, Carthage had grown into one of the richest cities in the ancient world. Carthage's commercial network stretched across much of the Western Mediterranean, connecting North Africa, Iberia, Sicily, Sardinia, and beyond through maritime trade. Its merchants traded across 3 continents. Its harbors were crowded with hundreds of ships. Its navy was respected and feared throughout the Mediterranean. If Rome dominated the land, Carthage ruled the sea. For many years, the two powers managed to avoid direct confrontation. But there was one place where their ambitions collided: Sicily. Located between Italy and North Africa, Sicily controlled important trade routes and offered strategic military advantages. Neither Rome nor Carthage could afford to let the other dominate the island. Tension slowly turned into open conflict. In 264 BCE, the First Punic War began. The First Punic War lasted 23 years, making it one of the longest continuous conflicts of the ancient world. At first, Rome faced a serious problem. Its soldiers were experienced on land, but the Republic possessed almost no naval tradition. Carthage, on the other hand, had spent centuries building one of the finest fleets the Mediterranean had ever seen. Many believed Rome had little chance of winning, but underestimating Rome had become a dangerous mistake. According to ancient historians, the Romans captured a damaged Carthaginian warship after one of the early engagements. Rather than simply celebrating the prize, they carefully studied its design, copied its construction, and built an entirely new fleet of their own. Ancient sources claim Rome built hundreds of warships during the First Punic War, an extraordinary industrial achievement for a republic with little previous naval experience. Then they introduced an invention that changed naval warfare. It was called the corvus, meaning the raven. This large wooden boarding bridge could swing down onto an enemy ship, locking the two vessels together. Instead of fighting like sailors, Roman legionaries turned sea battles into land battles. Exactly the kind of fighting they knew best. Peace between Rome and Carthage proved to be only a temporary pause. In the years after the First Punic War, Carthage rebuilt its strength by expanding into the Iberian Peninsula, modern-day Spain. Rich silver mines helped restore its wealth, while experienced soldiers prepared for the possibility of another conflict with Rome. Carthage wasn't simply recovering, it was preparing. leading much of that expansion, was a young commander named Hannibal Barca. According to ancient tradition, Hannibal's father, Hamilcar Barca, made his son swear an oath never to be a friend of Rome. Whether that story is entirely true remains uncertain, but Hannibal's actions left little doubt about his determination. Modern historians cannot confirm whether the famous oath actually took place. The story comes from ancient writers, but Hannibal's lifelong conflict with Rome made it one of history's most enduring legends. Soon, Hannibal would attempt something no commander had ever dared. When war broke out again in 218 BCE, Hannibal chose a strategy no Roman expected. Rather than attacking across the sea, he marched his army out of Spain, crossed southern Gaul, and began the impossible journey over the Alps. He was not alone. His army included tens of thousands of infantry, thousands of cavalry, and a small number of war elephants. The hardest part of the journey was still ahead. The mountains became an enemy of their own. Snow-covered passes, freezing temperatures, rock slides, and attacks from hostile tribes cost Hannibal thousands of men before he ever reached Italy. Yet, enough survived. When the Romans learned that Hannibal had crossed the Alps, the shock was enormous. The war had arrived on their doorstep. Modern historians agree that Hannibal crossed the Alps, but they still debate the exact route. Several mountain passes have been proposed, yet no definitive evidence has identified the path his army followed. Hannibal quickly proved he was one of history's greatest battlefield commanders. At the Battle of Trebia, Roman forces were lured into fighting under terrible conditions and suffered a crushing defeat. Soon afterward, at Lake Trasimene, Hannibal set one of the largest ambushes in military history. Hidden troops attacked from the surrounding hills, trapping the Roman army against the lake. Thousands were killed. Rome was shaken. But the greatest disaster was still to come. In 216 BCE, near the town of Cannae, Hannibal faced one of the largest Roman armies ever assembled. The Romans believed overwhelming numbers would guarantee victory. Instead, Hannibal deliberately allowed the center of his army to fall back. As the Roman soldiers pushed forward, Carthaginian troops on both flanks surrounded them. The trap closed. By the end of the battle, tens of thousands of Roman soldiers lay dead. Military historians still study the double envelopment tactic used at Cannae as one of the greatest battlefield maneuvers ever executed. Many expected Rome to surrender. It never did. Most nations would have accepted defeat after losses like these. Rome chose a different path. Instead of surrendering, it prepared for one final fight. A new Roman commander emerged. His name was Publius Cornelius Scipio, later known as Scipio Africanus. Rather than chasing Hannibal across Italy, Scipio proposed something bold. He would attack Carthage itself. The plan worked. Forced to defend his homeland, Hannibal finally left Italy after more than 15 years of campaigning. The two commanders met in 202 BCE at the Battle of Zama. For the first time, Hannibal faced an opponent who understood his tactics. Scipio reorganized his army to reduce the impact of the war elephants and used superior cavalry at exactly the right moment. Carthage was defeated. Rome had won the Second Punic War. Although Hannibal lost at Zama, he is still regarded as one of the greatest military commanders in history. His campaigns continue to be studied in military academies around the world. The Punic Wars transformed Rome forever. No longer was it simply the strongest city in Italy. It had become the dominant power in the Western Mediterranean. Its influence stretched across newly conquered territories. Its wealth increased dramatically. Its armies had defeated one of the greatest military minds the ancient world would ever produce. Yet success created new problems. As Rome grew richer and more powerful, so did the ambitions of its generals. The Republic had conquered its greatest foreign enemy. Soon, it would face an even greater danger from within. The next chapter is the story of one man whose victories changed Rome forever. His name was Julius Caesar. His rise would end the Roman Republic and begin the Age of Emperors. Rome had defeated its greatest foreign enemies. Its territory stretched across the Western Mediterranean. Trade flourished. Wealth poured into the Republic. But success came with a price. As Rome grew richer, the gap between rich and poor widened. Powerful aristocratic families competed for influence. Veterans expected land as payment for their years of service. Political violence became increasingly common. Even more dangerous, successful generals discovered that soldiers often became loyal to them, personally, rather than to the Senate. The Republic that had conquered the Mediterranean was beginning to fracture from within. Into this unstable world stepped one of history's most famous figures. His name was Julius Caesar. His victories would make him the most powerful man in Rome, but they would also seal the fate of the Republic. Julius Caesar was born around 100 BCE into an ancient patrician family. Although his family claimed noble ancestry, they were no longer among Rome's wealthiest or most influential. From a young age, Caesar displayed remarkable intelligence, ambition, and political skill. He understood that success in Rome required more than military talent. It required alliances, public support, and careful timing. In 60 BCE, Caesar formed an informal political partnership with two of Rome's most powerful men. Pompey, Rome's greatest general, and Crassus, the wealthiest man in the Republic. Together, they became known as the First Triumvirate. Each man gained something from the alliance. For Caesar, it opened the path to greater power. Soon afterward, Caesar received command of Roman armies in Gaul, covering much of modern-day France and parts of Belgium, Switzerland, and Germany. Over the next 8 years, he launched a series of military campaigns that transformed both Gaul and Rome. Some tribes accepted Roman rule, others resisted fiercely. Caesar defeated powerful coalitions through speed, engineering, and disciplined legions. He built bridges across major rivers, constructed massive siege works, and repeatedly outmaneuvered larger forces. His greatest challenge came in 52 BCE. A Gallic leader named Vercingetorix united many tribes against Rome. The rebellion threatened everything Caesar had achieved. The decisive battle came at Alesia. Caesar surrounded the city with enormous defensive walls. Then he built a second ring of fortifications, facing outward to defend against a massive relief army. Trapped between two enemies, the Roman legions held their ground. When the fighting ended, Vercingetorix surrendered. Gaul was firmly under Roman control. Caesar returned as one of the Republic's greatest military commanders. Although Caesar's own writings describe the Gallic Wars in great detail, modern historians recognize that they were also political works designed to strengthen his reputation in Rome. Caesar's growing popularity alarmed many senators. After the death of Crassus, the alliance between Caesar and Pompey collapsed. Pompey sided with the Senate. Caesar was ordered to give up command of his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. He refused. In 49 BCE, Caesar led a single legion across the Rubicon River, the legal boundary separating his province from Italy. According to ancient tradition, he declared, "The die is cast." Whether those were his exact words remains uncertain, but the decision was unmistakable. Crossing the Rubicon meant civil war. Pompey and many senators fled Rome. Caesar advanced with remarkable speed. The Republic was now at war with itself. Ancient sources attribute the phrase, "the die is cast," to Caesar. But historians continue to debate the exact words he spoke. What is certain is that crossing the Rubicon marked the point of no return. After several years of fighting, Caesar defeated Pompey's forces. He became the most powerful man in Rome. The Senate appointed him dictator, at first for short periods, eventually for life. Caesar introduced sweeping reforms. He reorganized local government, expanded Roman citizenship, settled veterans on new lands, reduced debt burdens, and introduced a new solar calendar. The Julian calendar proved so accurate that a modified version remained in use for more than 15 centuries. Many ordinary Romans admired Caesar, but others feared something else. They believed the Republic itself was disappearing. Rome had always rejected kings. Now some senators worried Caesar intended to become one. Modern historians continue to debate Caesar's ultimate ambitions. While he accepted extraordinary powers, there is no clear evidence that he formally planned to crown himself king. A group of senators decided that Caesar had become too powerful. Among them was Marcus Junius Brutus, a man Caesar trusted. On the Ides of March 15th, 44 BCE, the conspirators gathered inside the theater of Pompey. As Caesar entered the Senate meeting, they surrounded him. Within moments, he had been stabbed repeatedly. The conspirators believed they had saved the Republic. Instead, they unleashed another civil war.
Brother turns against brother.
Rome descended into chaos once again. Many people believe Caesar's final words were, "Et tu, Brute." But that famous line comes from William Shakespeare's play, written more than 15 centuries later. What Caesar actually said, if he spoke at all, remains uncertain. One young heir would soon emerge from the chaos. His name was Octavian. He would defeat every rival, become Augustus, and transform Rome from a republic into an empire. The Roman Republic was over, but the greatest chapter in Rome's history was only just beginning. Caesar's death did not restore the Republic. It accelerated its collapse. His adopted heir, Octavian, joined forces with Mark Antony before eventually turning against him. Their rivalry culminated in the Battle of Actium In 31 BCE, Octavian emerged victorious. A few years later, the Senate granted him a new title, Augustus. Although republican institutions officially survived, real political power now rested with a single ruler. The Roman Republic had ended. The Roman Empire had begun. Rather than ruling as a traditional king, Augustus carefully preserved many republican traditions while steadily strengthening his own authority.
Keep the ranks tight!
He reorganized the army, improved taxation, expanded the empire's road network, encouraged trade across the Mediterranean, and launched ambitious building projects throughout Rome. As Augustus himself famously claimed, "I found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble." Augustus's reign marked the beginning of the Pax Romana. More than 2 centuries of relative peace and stability across much of the Roman world. Trade flourished, cities expanded, Roman law spread across the empire, engineers built roads, bridges, aqueducts, and harbors that connected millions of people. The foundations of one of history's greatest civilizations had been laid. The Pax Romana did not mean every frontier was peaceful. Wars continued in several regions. The term refers to the remarkable internal stability that allowed much of the empire to prosper for generations. By the time Augustus died in 14 CE, Rome had been transformed. The republic that had once governed a single city now ruled lands stretching across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Its influence would shape politics, architecture, engineering, language, and law for thousands of years. Yet the empire's greatest achievements and its greatest challenges still lay ahead. Rome was no longer simply a republic. It had become the greatest empire the Mediterranean had ever known. Its armies guarded frontiers thousands of kilometers long. Its cities flourished. Its monuments inspired the ancient world. But every empire eventually faces new challenges. The next chapter explores the Roman Empire at the height of its power and the remarkable civilization it created. Under Augustus, Rome had become an empire, but the generations that followed would transform it into the greatest civilization the ancient Mediterranean had ever known. Its armies defended vast frontiers. Its engineers built wonders that still stand today. Its laws shaped future nations, and its influence would reach far beyond its own lifetime. After Augustus, a succession of emperors ruled the growing empire. Some governed wisely, others abused their power. Yet despite periods of instability, Rome continued to expand. Its greatest territorial extent came during the reign of Emperor Trajan. By 117 CE, Roman territory stretched from Britain in the northwest to Mesopotamia in the east. Millions of people from different cultures, languages, and traditions now lived under Roman rule. The Roman Empire depended on more than military strength. It depended on connection. Roman engineers built an extraordinary network of roads linking distant provinces with the capital. Soldiers marched across them. Merchants transported goods. Government officials carried messages. Ideas spread alongside commerce. Many Roman roads remained in use for centuries, and some still influence modern transportation routes today. Roman surveyors often built roads in remarkably straight lines, whenever the landscape allowed, reducing travel time and simplifying construction. Roman engineering changed the ancient world. Aqueducts carried fresh water across valleys into growing cities. Stone bridges crossed rivers, once considered impossible to span. Harbors supported trade throughout the Mediterranean. Their revolutionary use of concrete allowed enormous buildings to be constructed with remarkable durability. One structure became the symbol of Roman engineering itself, the Colosseum. Completed in 80 CE, it could hold around 50,000 spectators and remains one of the world's most recognizable monuments. Life in Rome was filled with activity. Markets offered goods from every corner of the empire. Public baths served as places to wash, exercise, and socialize. Forums bustled with merchants, politicians, and philosophers. Wealthy families lived in elegant homes, decorated with colorful mosaics. Many ordinary citizens lived in crowded apartment buildings, known as insulae. Life differed greatly, depending on wealth, occupation, and location. Yet across the empire, Roman customs created a shared cultural identity.
Keep the shield
Behind
locked!
Rome's prosperity stood one of history's most disciplined military forces. Professional soldiers guarded frontiers that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Training was relentless. Discipline was strict. Permanent forts, watchtowers, and defensive walls protected the empire's borders, while allowing trade and communication to continue. The Roman army became the foundation upon which imperial stability depended. Hadrian's Wall, begun in 122 CE, was not built to stop every invasion. Instead, it helped regulate movement across the frontier, while demonstrating Rome's authority in northern Britain. Rome influenced the world in ways that reached far beyond conquest. Roman law established legal principles that continue to shape many justice systems today. Latin became the ancestor of languages spoken by hundreds of millions of people. Roman architecture inspired governments, churches, and public buildings for centuries. During this same period, a small religious movement began in the province of Judea. Christianity spread gradually throughout the empire, despite periods of persecution. In time, it would become one of the most influential religions in world history. At its peak, the Roman Empire governed millions of people across 3 continents. Its roads united distant lands. Its engineers reshaped cities. Its laws outlived emperors. Its culture influenced generations. From Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Syria, Rome stood at the height of its power. It seemed unshakable. But beneath the surface, cracks had already begun to appear. Political instability, economic strain, pressure along the frontiers. The empire that had conquered so much of the known world would soon face challenges unlike any it had overcome before. The next chapter tells the story of Rome's long decline and the fall of the Western Roman Empire. For centuries, Rome had dominated the Mediterranean world. Its armies were unmatched. Its cities flourished. Its influence stretched across 3 continents. But no empire lasts forever. The empire faced growing challenges from within. Political instability weakened central authority. Economic pressures mounted. Emperors rose and fell with alarming speed. During the 3rd century, Rome entered one of the darkest periods in its history. Civil wars erupted. Foreign invasions intensified. Disease and economic hardship spread across the empire. Between 235 and 284 CE, dozens of emperors claimed the throne. Many ruled for only a short time before being overthrown or killed. The stability that had once defined Rome seemed to be disappearing. The empire survived, a series of determined emperors introduced reforms that restored order. Among the most important was Diocletian. He reorganized the government and strengthened the empire's defenses. Later, Emperor Constantine reshaped the empire once again. He founded a new imperial capital at Constantinople. The empire was now governed from both east and west, making administration more effective across its vast territories. Eventually, the division between East and West became permanent. The Eastern Empire remained wealthy and well defended. The Western Empire faced increasing military and economic pressure. Germanic peoples increasingly crossed Rome's frontiers. Some entered peacefully and settled within the empire. Others arrived through conflict as Roman control weakened. In 410 CE, the Visigoths entered Rome. For the first time in nearly 8 centuries, the Eternal City had fallen to a foreign army. The psychological impact echoed across the Roman world. The Western Empire never fully recovered. In 476 CE, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus, was removed from power. Historians traditionally mark this event as the end of the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire, often called the Byzantine Empire by modern historians, continued for nearly 1,000 years after the fall of the West, until Constantinople fell in 1453. The Western Roman Empire disappeared, but Rome itself never truly vanished. Its ideas continued to shape civilizations long after its emperors were gone. Roman law still influences courts around the world. Latin became the foundation of entire language families. Roman engineering continues to inspire architects and builders today. Its roads connected continents. Its architecture shaped cities. Its political ideas influenced governments. Its history continues to inspire millions of people around the world. In many ways, we still live in Rome's shadow. And perhaps that is the greatest legacy any civilization could leave behind.